Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So you are probably looking at one gnarly, nasty demon figure. Yes, this is the demon Beleth. It's part of my demonic series that I have been drawing over the past several years. I'm going to explain to you how I texturized this one because I'm getting a lot of questions on textures, which is why I'm going to be posting more of that lately. We're talking fur, bone, fuzz, long hair, etc. So I thought, why not start with what I did for Beleth, where it's kind of like the dry, stretched tendon look. You can't really tell if it's skin, but there's also some bone and skeletal structure mixed in. All right, so, also another thing that I want to talk about is I deliberately ended the whole drawing at the end of the jawline here so that there's room here for the neck, so I can just pull some of these textures that I did here down on the neck. Okay, and then just to show you what kind of paper I'm using, this is moleskin, and then I have some demonic drawings underneath it, some faces that I was practicing with, so I go all over the place with this. There's the head, and then there's the bottom jaw. It's a very vertical sketch, so I don't really want to zoom out because I just want to keep the details in there. And then the other thing I want to talk about today is a very, very wonderful chair that I'm sitting in, which is from FlexiSpot, and this is today's sponsor. So I'm going to be getting into FlexiSpot's ergonomic C7 chair today, and it's really, really great because I know how important it is to be able to be comfortable when you're sitting at your desk. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to be getting in some time lapse. I'm going to show you how I'm going to be adding detail. Okay, so the first thing that I want to dive into is this whole skin texture right here and how I actually achieved it. So through my teachings and previous videos, you know that I put a coating of graphite in one direction to start things off. And then what I do is I turn my sketchbook so that I can keep the angle of my hand comfortably making the lines. And then let me move some of the stuff around here. And then I turn it like this so that I can hit the same area at a different angle but not press as hard. And then when it comes to the dry skin / porous bone texture, I can't wait to show you how I do that because it's a lot of fun. But you can't achieve this texture up here in the face that I've done unless you do this first. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself through so much angst because it's not turning out the way you want, and there's a secret to it. And the secret is you have to lay that nice coating of foundation first so that any of the darkened pores that are going over it, the gaps, anything around it are filled with that value. So I'll explain here in a sec. So let's say you want a nice texture for the neck. It's crazy going back to this sketch that I did because originally I had finished it at that jaw, and I'm thinking I'm probably never going to come back to this drawing. And then lo and behold, my YouTube channel, I'm coming back to the drawing. So I'm glad I left the neck area blank. All right, so this is a slightly different angle than the other angles that I had just done. Those of you that are tuning into my channel for the first time, I want to welcome you. If you're wondering what materials that I use, this is a Faber-Castell 4B. It really doesn't matter what pencil you use. And strictly because if you have trouble making light lines or if you make too heavy of lines, it's all a matter of hand pressure. So I can take a charcoal pencil and I could probably achieve, and you can probably achieve, the same depth right here with just a charcoal pencil. It's about how hard you press and about when you release that pressure. You just have to do it over and over and over again. It's repetition, and then you get better at it as time goes on. All right, so it looks like this angle hasn't been touched yet, so I'm just gonna go right across this one. Okay, also the other pencil that I used wasn't just a 4B in this. It's a Prismacolor. Okay, so it's not graphite. Let me just reach over here and show you the pencil that I used. It's just a black Prismacolor, like so. All right, and you can buy these separately. So I have them in my Amazon shop, so you can look at the link in the description below. I am a member of Amazon affiliates, so if you want to help support the channel, help support me, you can get all the materials that I use on a daily basis in my shop there. Okay, so once I get a nice coating on here, actually I'm still not satisfied with it, because a drawing like this demon took, I think this one was 8 hours. I didn't time it, but I remember specifically the day that I was drawing it. It was a Saturday, and I had to go somewhere at like 8 p.m. and I started around noon. I just went nonstop. I didn't have many breaks, maybe like an hour break, because I just wanted to bust this thing out. So this probably has like eight or nine passes of graphite and black Prismacolor mixed in. So my technique is, if you put a very, very nice coating of graphite on first, and then you couple it with black Prismacolor, so I'm going to go over that. But you have to be careful with the black Prismacolor, because this is wax, and wax helps the graphite from smearing, which is how or one of the ways that I keep my drawings so clean. I just don't smear them, and I don't, let's see if I can get that, I don't want to have that shadow cast up here. Yeah, I got the tripod light on your left, on my left actually, and I don't want to ruin that light. Let me get that across here. There we go. And then once I have that coating down there of both the graphite and the black Prismacolor in a couple different directions, I'm on pass, I don't know, I lost count already, probably like 6. I'm going to go back over that area of black Prismacolor with the graphite again. And what this does is it offers 2 different types of textures mixing in with each other to form something really unique. And this is what helped me get that bone texture. So you can start to see the similarities happening now. Okay, there's nothing fancy going on here. I'm not using a blending stick. I'm not using an eraser. I'm not smudging with my finger. I'm not using anything, no cloth or anything. And those are all, if you want to use blending sticks, if you want to use like graphite powder, that's awesome. Those things are amazing. It's just, this is the way that I'm accustomed to and that I learn, and this is my jam. Okay, so once I have that, now I can start to think about the different details that I can put on this neck. Now I'm going to keep it zoomed out at this level so that you can see the demon's face and how all of the markings that I'm going to put on here eventually start to bleed into the rest of the neck. All right, and while I'm doing this, I do want to talk about something, and that is, I am an advocate for having a nice place to draw and a nice place to work. So I want you to take a look around at your office right now, or wherever your station is. It could be in your bedroom, it could be on some card table in the living room, okay? It doesn't matter. Having a really good chair is one of the most important investments you're ever going to make as far as being comfortable goes. Outside of a really nice bed. You can have a not so good apartment or a house, but if your bed is nice, you're going to thank yourself. And you're definitely going to thank yourself if you have a nice chair to sit in. And that's what brings me to today's sponsor, which is FlexiSpot. And I'm sitting right now as I'm drawing this in their brand new chair. It's called the FlexiSpot Ergonomic Seat C7. And I'm going to get into it in just a second with me physically showing you sitting in it, adjusting all the features and everything, and tell you why I'm so comfortable right now sitting in it. So today I'm really excited to talk about today's sponsor, FlexiSpot, and their brand new ergonomic chair, the FlexiSpot Ergonomic C7. This thing is fantastic. I've been searching for a chair for a very long time, something that gives me back support, something that gives me neck support, and some of the more minor issues that people might have, like with me, with lower leg support, because a lot of times the seat cushions in office chairs would actually make your legs fall asleep. And when you're at your workstation all day, if you work remotely, that happens a lot. So without further ado, I want to show you all the really cool features about the FlexiSpot C7. So the very first feature I want to talk about are the adjustable armrests. These things are awesome. There's a lever right under here, and if you push that lever, you can lift it up. So you can do it to both of them. Squeeze, lift up. And what this does is it allows a really nice level playing field when it comes to either typing at your desk, like so, or if you have a sketchbook and you start drawing, but you don't want to have your arms down to your side in case you might slouch. And it's very relaxing. The next cool thing about the armrests are that they swivel back and forth like this, horizontally. So you can rest on here, and sometimes it's comfortable to sit and just turn them in like this and just kind of put your hands together and listen. Or if you are a shorter person or a taller person, depending on how you want to adjust it, you can go forward and you can go backward. So that's 3 distinct adjustable features that you can have on the armrest, and it's really cool. Something that you cannot find anywhere on chairs. Okay, the second great feature I want to talk about is this right here. So this is the self-adaptive back support. Let me explain why this is so good. A lot of chairs that you sit in, your back hurts all the time and you can't really figure out why, even if you're sitting up straight and you know that your posture is good. This helps actually lock your posture into place. So you have this nice little lever over here. Down is unlock, and you lift it to lock it. So let me show you what happens when you actually unlock it. When you unlock it, this entire support system for your lower back can adjust back for a relaxed sit, and then it can go all the way forward, and you can lock that forward position in place like this, so that when you're sitting and you lean all the way back and put all your weight, it does not flex all the way back. So this actually forces you to have good posture to keep your neck and your back aligned, and in that way you can work comfortably, and it can help eliminate a lot of the pain that you might have with your lower back. Okay, so the next 3 features I want to show you, I'm going to actually have to physically get up for in order to show you these. This one right here is really cool because this adjusts the tilt of the actual seat. Now remember the problem that I was telling you about earlier where I was experiencing my legs falling asleep, and that was because the front of the seat cushion was stationary on my old seat, and it was pressing up against the bottom of my thighs constantly, and it would cut off blood supply to my lower extremities. Well, this actually helps alleviate that to the point where not only is it easier to get up from, but you don't feel any pressure at all, so you don't have to constantly adjust your legs in order to feel better. The second one is this one right here. This is just your standard height of the seat, so you can lower it, and if you push down like this, the air will let you go. Sit up a little bit, and then it'll come up like that. Now the third feature I want to show you is over here. This one is a very important one, and that is if you push forward and back like this, you can adjust how far you go forward. Once the seat cushion is moved forward like this, you just lift the lever again, and then you can pull it all the way back so that you have your lumbar system, everything is supported by here, so you can sit at 90 degrees. So how could I forget just a couple more things, this adjustable headrest. So depending on your height and how you want to relax, if you're working or if you literally want to fall asleep, you can do that too in this chair. This headrest adjusts 2 ways. One, back and forth, depending on if you want to relax your head going back or up. And then 2, you can go down and up. So it supports all neck lengths and the majority of everybody's height. It's a wonderful chair. And if it's hot during the day or if it's cold, doesn't matter. This is very breathable mesh. So you're going to be comfortable no matter how you want to sit in this chair. Now that we have a decent coating going on the neck, and I'm going to add in some details with what appears to be hair. I think that I left it open for interpretation when I did this. Over here, you can see kind of a shadowed effect of maybe some tentacles. So I thought, hey, that would be kind of cool to have this demon be semi-Lovecraftian, because, I mean, we don't know. Like, whether or not you believe in demons is irrelevant. What is important is that we have fun imagining what they could be. So this is why I left this for interpretation. Okay, so skin and bone structure when it's dried. You have this nice coating. Now we can start applying some darker divots. Okay, so see these holes or porous openings within this eye socket right here? The original shading was already done, and inside here was black Prismacolor mixed with my 4B graphite. I went over the whole area here. That's why it's really smooth and yet light, because I didn't push hard. And then what I did is all of those crevices in here, I just started to outline the shape of those crevices, and it's pretty random. I don't have any planned design for this. It's porous. It's kind of like the pumice rock, you know, like dried lava and stuff. And it's just kind of random, whatever fits like a puzzle piece. Think about, what could I use for an example? Oh, like Freddy Krueger's skin. All right, I know it's kind of a weird comparison, but if you look at his skin, like his charred, burnt skin, some of it still looks fresh and some of it looks dried. It's kind of the same thing where these little crevices everywhere. So what I'm doing now is I'm holding my pencil at probably a 35-degree angle off of the camera. So my pinky's right here, and then I'm just resting it on my desk. So my desk is right here, and I can comfortably put the pencil over here to the neck. And now what I'm doing is I'm imagining an emaciated version of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Okay, so the sternocleidomastoid will attach to the skull back here. Let's just assume that this demon is semi-human. It kind of looks human, so maybe the muscular structure and the tendons and the muscles and everything are going to follow what is in us. All right, so maybe the muscle comes down here, very, very light indication. It's just going to come straight down like this, maybe at a slight angle. If I'm going over the lines here, because I had this outline of a tentacle, that's fine. As long as it's light, I can go back and add graphite, add dark or black Prismacolor to put in the necessary details. I don't need to freak out about it. But what I do need to pay attention to is how these individual crevices are going to be placed, because if this is a mass muscle coming down the neck, then all of the crevices are going to have to follow the contour of it and be rolled on top of it. So if I have some holes here, I'm going to have to give a little illusion that the holes, if you look at it from straight on, they're going to seem like a hole right in front of you. But if they're bending down here on the muscle or on the surface, then I'm going to have to give that illusion. And then you see up here, so the demon has, he has these teeth, or it has these teeth. I don't know if it's a he or she. And there's some stretched skin and some pretty gnarly textures. Almost looks like bone, but not quite. I'm going to do the same thing in the neck. So I'm just going to put some lines going across what I believe would be some surface changes. Okay, so it's not just a straight line across the neck, because then you're giving the illusion that the neck is completely flat, and it's not. That's one of the advantages of having a nice coating of graphite on here. I mean, look at this jaw right here. There's a lot of stuff going on. You have these stretched ligaments going across the jaw. You have this weird charred skin. And then you have what appears to be maybe bone coming out of that with skin on top of it. So there's a mixture of all kinds of really neat, interesting things happening. Okay, and then you have up here near its temple where there's like veins in there and stuff. So maybe there's actual tissue right here. I don't know. I just had fun just making all this stuff up as I was drawing. And I still had to look at reference for like the human skull and such. All right. So now that we have this, it could almost be like an aging demon. You know, when people approach the age of like 65 or 70, and then the skin under their chin starts to, the elasticity in the skin starts to give away a little bit right under here. Maybe it has that too. If you're above the age of 65 watching my video, please do not get offended by what I just said. Please. I'm so sorry if that came out wrong. But anyway, this demon has an emaciated look, not you. I'm putting in some grooves right here to where I can imagine some really cool stretched skin would be. So I want you, if you're drawing along with me or just attempting a section of this in your own sketchbook, just look at how light I'm keeping everything. All of this darkness that has happened, all of these different values that are happening, this could not have been achieved in this main area without starting like this. And every single video that I'm going to post, I'm going to stress the need for patience. If you are an impatient artist, you're going to need to fix that ASAP, or else you are constantly going to, how should I put this? You're going to undermine your own progress in your drawing because you're going to want to jump to conclusions real quick. You're going to want to jump to what needs to be seen right away without working through it. So here I'm just kind of having fun and letting the pencil explore. I'm just holding the pencil. So I'm just shaking it. I'm not thinking too hard. I'm not thinking at all. I'm just like, yeah, well, the muscle's right here. I'm going to put in some value changes to make it look like there's some core shadow going on, some cast shadows. One thing that I do need to do now that I'm adding to the neck, and you guys have probably are witnessing this, is this bottom line for the jaw will need to get a little darker because the value between the jaw and the neck are mixing in too much. So if I darken that jaw, look how that popped out now. It's just a matter of playing with the values until it's right. Okay, so the bounce light is going to change also. Because originally I had bounce light because it was just a floating head. I didn't know the light source and what was going on underneath it. But now it's more of like a very eerie, dim ambient light hitting this demon. Especially up in here where I have a bunch of atmospheric perspective going on with the horns and everything going off into the distance. We don't know if this creature's coming through some demonic hellish smoke. Like, we don't know. Okay, so once we have this, now watch this neat stuff happening. I like the crevices that I drew on top of here, the stretched bone or skin. I'm going to darken up just a small little hole, and then I'm going to fade off graphite from that hole, but still roll it across certain surfaces of the neck. And look at that depth happening because I already shaded in the areas surrounding it. So like all of the white of the paper is still non-existent. The graphite's there. So I don't have to worry about filling in the gaps. This is why when I did this texture up here, like I can just put in another vein right now to show you how I did it. See this large vein coming off of the head? What if I just started to make small little circles with my pencil across the head right here? That's the shadow of the next vein. And then all I have to do after this is look directly above that, keep that value as is. I'm not going to make that darker. Go above that and then make that darker. And voila. What do we have here? We have another vein coming across the head. It was just a play on values. That's all it was. See, there's the vein running right across. So that's the beauty of having this nice coating of graphite. But again, I'm going to go back to the need for patience. You're going to need to be patient with your application of pencil. Regardless if you guys right now are using a number 2 pencil, an H, a 3B, 4B, it doesn't matter. I personally like 4Bs because I learned with these a long time ago, but also for me, it's just the right amount of B to where I can go light and dark if needed pretty quickly. Okay, so once I have this, it's going to be kind of a gross neck. Oh, let me move this up a little bit. It's going to be kind of a gross neck here. So maybe I'll put in some more wrinkles. I don't know. That's the fun part. I don't know. All I know is that it is a neck. I can't put any bone in there really because like on the side is muscle. Now I could go back here near the spine. Maybe this tentacle's coming down and just blocking most of the neck. But maybe it's growing from vertebrae, but it's too far in the background. I want to honor what I did before, and that is the super light smoked out graphite like coming off of the skull. I don't want to ruin that look, and I don't want to just force detail in the back here on that neck, so I don't think I'm going to do that. All right, so jumping back into the details of this neck. So you see that I've started to establish some of that the lines where it gives the illusion of dry skin or almost stretched tendons. It's like everything mixed together. So we have bone, we got some lumps, and I'll add some spikes too that you can see here. I'll put that along the neck because I think that'll be a really cool detail. But let's continue with some of this area, and I'll show you how I would introduce some bones coming right out of the neck, maybe on the back. So I have this tentacle coming down here, but what if I just start adding in some bone structures above here and the tentacle can maybe come through one of the vertebrae? I don't know. I'm kind of just thinking out loud here, and it's one of the fun parts about doing a sketch like this. All right, so as I'm playing with some more value, putting it on that neck, making sure it's super smooth and how I like it. I think I'm at the point where I don't want to get any darker than that. I don't need to. The darkest parts of this neck portion are inside these pores. Okay, it's similar to what you see up here, like in the cracks of the eye socket, and then also some of these pores up here, these really tiny ones. Now what I want to do is, if you see this crazy looking texture of, it looks like hardened veins coming out of the bone, that's what we're going to do right down here. So here's the trachea, or where the trachea would be. But here, maybe it's a different part of the anatomy that doesn't really exist on people. Of course, it's a demon, so it wouldn't exist on people. But I'm just going to treat them like little worms, and I'm just going to put some shadows, kind of like what I showed you how I did the vein up here. Instead of outlining the vein, all I'm doing is just using values to outline the vein. So then it looks more realistic. So what I'll do is I'll just put some darker patches along the path of where I would want that vein to go. And now that I have this darkened area, watch what I can do. When I shaded that and I put all those tiny little circles in over top of each other, inside here there are many different little grooves that just so happened while I was drawing because of the texture of the paper. So then I can just darken some of those grooves that were just given to me naturally by drawing on it. And in turn, it gives me a new texture, something that I didn't think of before. So now that I have that, it's kind of cool. It's almost like there's a hardened growth or something on the neck, and I'm just playing with the graphite now. I'm just making it come out of those little grooves. Watch how dark I can get. It's like super dark. I'm not even using black Prismacolor, it's just regular graphite. I'm pushing harder, and then I'm just walking that graphite right out onto the neck. And I want to make sure that I round it. So like right under here, under that bridge, or ridge I guess you could say, it's not a bridge, I'm just rounding the shadow to make it look like the groove is following the structure. So when you're drawing, you have to make sure that you have an underlying structure to it. So this is why I always stress about having bony landmarks and the indication that there are actual bones under the surface of the creature you're drawing, so that it looks as realistic as possible. So you can see here I'm starting to do tiny little circles and just opening them up. And I'm opening them up and I'm pressing lighter and lighter as I'm opening them up, so it looks like it's shadow. Okay, so for example, in here when I did all these little grooves in the eye socket, I slightly pushed, and then I pushed a little harder, and then I let go of the pressure, and then I pushed a little harder, and I let go of it, and pretty soon you have these little crevices showing up. It's pretty cool. It's fun too. You don't want to rush this process. You might think, oh, well, I can do that. And then you have to realize I still have to keep a steady hand, and I have to make sure that I'm strategically placing these in the right spot, because again, you want to follow what you drew underneath everything. So for example, this weird growth now happening on the neck, well, the sternocleidomastoid is right there. So what I can do is I can just take my pencil and start adding a layer of value again and just walking it right up that line. That's going to be the slight groove of where the muscle is located. So if I do that, turn my pencil to the side, you can start to see that shading effect. And now what I'm going to do, so I don't want that line to show up anymore. It's too harsh right there. So I'm just going to go to the side of it, and then I'm just going to do some light touches. Okay, so I might have to grip this differently. And I might have to fade off that shadow into the neck muscle. And this is where patience comes in, right like that. So now it looks more faded, and then I'm not done though. Because now this whole muscle is popping out, I have to go behind it. And I also have to go slightly darker, right on top of all those grooves that I was drawing before. Just slightly. Look how that brings it forward now. It looks rounded. Isn't that cool? There we go. So because this is darker than this is actually getting darker than the jaw. So I'm going to have to darken the jaw even more to bring out the contrast. So it looks like there's going to be no more real bounce light happening on that chin. Or, I guess, jaw for that matter. Now, there we go. And then I'll just make sure to fade off the pencil so that it looks like it's as smooth as possible. Not looks like it's as smooth as possible. It is as smooth as possible. I don't really want to do any illusions here. I just want to be as raw and as genuine as possible. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So now what we can do is we can just... my pencil is actually still pretty sharp. It's because I was only using the side of the tip. So I'm just going to put some dark grooves. It looks like stretched skin, and I'm going to connect these two areas. This is how I did this. I did all of the shading down here, put in some weird Freddy Krueger-like skin, and then I put some teeth up here, and I just connected these grooves slightly, put in some fat tissue or whatever else is growing on this creature, and then it turned out to be pretty believable. There we go. And I'm going to get darker in certain areas where it looks like the least amount of light is penetrating. I'm not going to worry too much about what's happening directly under this neck, because now I'm getting to the point where if I put too much under here, it's not necessarily a cast shadow anymore. It's more of, I just want to show off the jaw. I'm going to have to get even darker with the core shadow right here on the jaw. I don't want to do that, because the focal point is the face. Okay, that's the face. Let me just show it to you one more time. There's the jaw going all the way down. Alright, so that's what I want to focus on. And I think I'm going to have these disgusting dried pores and skin and flesh and everything all connect right over that weird growth. Okay, there we go. And now since the muscle starts on this side over here, I'm just going to give a slight indication of some of that leathery look about to roll up over that muscle. So I want to give the illusion that that is what's happening. There we go. Okay, and then in here I can put in some more grooves maybe. Darker shadows. I don't want to make it into a predictable pattern, so every groove that I put in, I'm just going to be slightly off with it. I'm going to add a little bit of chaos with it, and then that'll help me. Now the one thing I am noticing is that it's not looking right that this is light directly under the jaw. So I think what I'll do is I will add some more value right next to it to make it look like there's still shadow under the jaw, because the jaw is casting a shadow on the neck. It's lit from above, it will cast it, but I don't want it to be completely obvious, so maybe I'll just put the muscle going all the way up so it goes directly behind the jaw, and that way it'll give a better indication of what's going on. Maybe I can get dark right there, and if I get dark right there and fade that off, then I'll have to get even darker with the jaw. So maybe right there is the darkest part. Yeah, I think that's working pretty well. It's almost like a little cast shadow. I won't do it nearly as much on this side. Okay, there we go. And then this line right here, that is the edge of the shadow. So I think what I'll do is I'll just make it a tad softer. I don't need to make it harsh. There we go. Okay, that's turning out pretty good. So you got that weird bone that's that weird bone stuff going on over there. And then I will shade in some more value right there. So the throat, the value of the throat is just kind of peeking through. But it's nothing major. Hey everyone, Thank you so much for tuning in and watching today's lesson. I love showing aspiring concept artists and veterans better techniques to become a better artist. And also, I just can't stress enough the importance of having a very comfortable and supportive chair for your everyday work life. It's vital that we stay healthy, and let's just face it, a lot of chairs just can't cut it, whether or not we have bad posture or if the chairs aren't incapable of helping us achieve better posture. And that's where FlexiSpot comes in. I've been using this chair for several weeks now, and I absolutely love it. Definitely the best chair that I've ever gotten. Make sure to visit flexispot.com. FlexiSpot is having their brand day sale once a year now, up to 60% off. So make sure to use the code BDC7 and check the links in the description. It's the best time to get your favorite chair/desk now. This code is only applicable up until May 17th, so be sure to take advantage of that. If you haven't done so already, check out the links in the description for our Creature Design Workshop Discord. It's a bustling community with a lot of artists helping each other out, and we learn a lot not only about animals, but also what it's like to design creatures and characters for the games and movie industry. If you love drawing and you just want to find a place for lessons that are helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel, as I try to give a very fundamental and foundational approach to sketching. I'm having live sessions every single week to help like-minded individuals like yourself want to learn how to become a better artist. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.